Hello, incoming fifth grade parents. My name is Dave Powers, and I'm the principal at Schoolcraft Middle School. And if you are watching and listening to this presentation, it's because you missed the opportunity to catch me, quote unquote, live virtually with the fourth grade classes last week as I shared this same video presentation with them. Actually, it's a slideshow. It's something I do traditionally at the end of each school year to welcome our rising fifth graders into the building. We would have done this during the school day and then had a little tour, and then in the evening invited you to come and hear the same information about the day in the life of a fifth grader, and then have them give you actually a little tour of the building. We'll do the tour aspects of the building in August before the start of the school year for all of you to come and visit as soon as we have a better idea of what actually our next school year format will look like. But I did want to share this information with you, and I knew some of you were kind of waiting for me to record it and get it to you. So the first thing we talk about with your children as they are getting ready to make this transition from elementary to middle school is that they're going to love it here. And truly that has been the case, I believe. I don't think I'm talking out of school, so to speak, but and that's our goal, that they love it here at our school. This next coming year, the 2021 school year, we intend for it to be great, just like the previous school years have been. I know that they've had a great experience at Schoolcraft Elementary School with Mr. Webster, and I intend to make sure that that continues for their middle school experience in their schooling. Really, there's just three simple things that we've been dedicating ourselves to since I took over as principal 5 years ago, and I call them doing the do. And the first thing is to do the right thing. That's what you've been teaching them, their grandparents, their former teachers, coaches, youth group leaders, pastors, and such. You know, that part where their conscience tells them the right thing to do. The second thing is just to do their quality best, so that when they put their head on the pillow at night, whether their efforts were in the classroom or in the dance studio or the athletic field or court of competition, that they just gave it their best. That's all anybody can ever ask, and then you can rest well. And the final thing is the one that we all, I think, are most concerned about when we come to school, is making sure that we do unto others as they would have them do unto us. In other words, treat other people the way we'd like to be treated. Seriously, if all of us, adults and kids alike, would just dedicate ourselves to those three simple propositions, this would be a pretty perfect world. And we strive to make it that way at Schoolcraft Middle School. I told your kids about the fact that we really strive to have one big happy family here at the middle school. So even though we have fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, we make some purposeful opportunities to have the kids get to know each other, even outside of just their own grade level. So a few years back, we started what we call squads, where we have small groups of fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders get together, fifth through eighth, in a group called a squad, probably about, I don't know, maybe 20 kids total. And we'll work together, we'll play together, and we'll get to know each other and get a sense of community actually within the greater Schoolcraft Middle School student body. And we do things where we, like I said, where we work together. Many of you have heard of our fall rake and run that we do right before the Thanksgiving break, where we serve senior citizens and shut-ins in our community, actually even people that are just doggone busy, and go out there and do that last raking of leaves out to the street corners before the village comes around and picks them up. And we have served and delighted so many people when they come home and find out that we did so. And that's with each one of our squads. We spread out all over the entire village on both sides of Grand Avenue, and we have fun serving other people. That's just one of the opportunities we have for service learning. Another thing we do is, like I said, we play together. At this time of year, we typically would have been inviting your children up to the stadium where they would get to know the kids in their squad already here before they've even come up to the middle school. And we'd have like a wacky Olympics in the stadium and just play some crazy relay games and have some fun, have a popsicle, and just kind of set a good tone for the beginning of the next school year. I'm sorry we didn't have that opportunity, but we will do some things first thing out of the gate next fall to make sure that we build that sense of family and community within our student body. So what is a day in the life of a fifth grader like? We want you to know we're very purposeful, intentional about what we do and how we do that with your kids in fifth grade. And so we wanted them to feel very confident and comfortable making this transition. So first things first, kids typically arrive between 7:30 and 7:45, whether that's on a bus or you're dropping them off. Just as a point of information, if you have younger students that are still at the elementary school and you have a middle school student to drop off, we welcome you to get in line in front of the schools there on Clay Street and drop the kids off first at the middle school and then head on down that line to the elementary school. If, however, your fifth grader is your only child that you have to drop off, we ask that you do that behind the middle school and let them come in one of those two back doors. That'll really speed up your morning routine and also keep that line down out front. So the cafeteria is open for your kids to meet and greet each other and their friends. The older students, 7th and 8th graders, have the gym. And I know it's kind of a bummer because maybe some of the younger kids would like to get in the gym in the morning, but that'll be a privilege they get when they get to 7th and 8th grade, and they'll enjoy that without it being too crowded. School begins at 8 and ends at 3:06, not too unlike what it is right now for elementary. We have separate passing times for fifth graders for much of the day. So we're not going to have overcrowded hallways with other grade students in there. I know that's a concern that many of you have, especially if this is your first child coming to Schoolcraft Middle School. Thinking about maybe the bigger kids are going to be intimidating and such. That's why we did those squads. We want to make sure that we create a sense of comfort and community. So again, we make sure that the hallways aren't going to be overcrowded as kids are passing from class to class. And we've also segregated the building. The 5th and 6th graders have their own end of the building. Your child will have their own locker right down in that 5th grade wing. It's the far east end of the building, by the way. And then they'll also have a Chromebook to use for their learning tool at school. They were using iPads in the past, and our goal is for this coming year to have our 5th and 6th graders also have Chromebooks. 7th and 8th and all high school students have Chromebooks. Those are quite handy. So we talked about the fact that the students have their own end of the building and that our classrooms are set up with very flexible furniture. Some people call it 21st century furniture to make sure that we've got the best setup for our 5th graders. You can see they have basically 5 periods. The first period in the morning will be their homeroom teacher that they're assigned to. And speaking of that, our 4th grade teachers are currently putting together our class lists for the middle school, and they know your kids the best. So if there's some students that would really benefit confidence-wise by being with a particular student, they'll make sure that happens. And then also if it's more beneficial to have a couple of students that aren't together in a classroom, they'll make sure that happens as well. So it's nice to know that the class lists are being put together very purposefully by people who know them the best. So they'll do that first thing in the morning. They'll go to their homeroom class, and they have their ELA class with each one of the teachers. Then they move on to second period, which is specials. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. They come back after specials, and then they start through the rotation of their other core academic classes. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. You can see from that point forward, we have long blocks of time dedicated to each of those content areas. And then we also get some more ELA in there with some writing opportunities. So a lot of people ask about the playground and opportunities for kids to get outside, get some fresh air and exercise and such. And we do have that opportunity for our kids. You've probably seen it before. There's a Gaga pit over behind the elementary. We have one here at the middle school as well. And the kids have quite a long lunch period, 45 minutes. Sixth, seventh, and eighth graders only have a half an hour. But this gives our fifth graders a little bit more time to get out there and get some physical activity and enjoy 15 to 20 minutes of playtime before they eat. Again, if the fifth grade teachers feel they need a little bit more time to burn off some energy, they can work that time into their schedule as needed. So the bonus about our operation is that our gym is available to each one of our lunch periods if the weather's poor, too cold, raining, too snowy out there. We have the gym available to us for kids to go in and shoot basketballs and volleyballs and play some foursquare and such. And most times, by the way, when I'm available, it's both myself and the parapro assigned to supervise that lunch period. And we'll make both of those options available to students. Again, the playground is available when we have weather that's nice. It's not too muddy and such. The Gaga pit we already talked about. We have 3 outside basketball hoops. 4 squares available outside and inside. And then there's some green space out there. You've seen it before. You've been in that parking lot. You know, kids love to play some touch football. We do not play tackle football. We keep it safe. And they have room to kick a soccer ball around or volleyball and such. It's worked out quite well. So I mentioned fifth grade specials. We have art. So, and these are all 12-week rotations. So each one of the classrooms will be assigned to one of these 3 options for 12 weeks during second period. So art with Mrs. Nocita. The next is a rotation every other day, A day, B day sort of thing, where they get PE and then their music class. And then the final is the STEM opportunity. And we tap in to that amazing STEM lab that's over at the elementary school. And we actually use that for our 5th grade and for our 7th and 8th graders for a makerspace class. It's awesome. So the teachers that will be loving on your students next year, you know them, I hope. Ms. Main will teach that first period ELA and do the writing time that's mixed in with her science class. And then Mrs. Peterson will have that first period ELA, and then she has math for all the students. And Mrs. Pahalski, again, first period ELA, and then does some additional reading exercises and such with her students during the social studies block. At this time, I typically ask if there's people that have questions and so forth, and I want you to know that if you do have a question, please email me, and my email address is powersd@schoolcraftcs.org. Really, your students that have email accounts, Gmail accounts to school, every teacher, it's the last name, first initial, at schoolcraftcs, firstcommunityschools.org. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have. I also invited your student to send me any emails if they still had questions. We answered a lot of these questions for the kids when I met with them virtually. Some people want to know, hey, what's next? So again, you know, we're all waiting for the governor to give us some direction on the plan for reopening our schools. And things are starting to reopen now, which is amazing and wonderful. But we still don't have a complete picture of what next fall will look like. And I want you to be confident in the fact that Schoolcraft Community Schools is actually planning for any eventuality. And some people, even though everything may be reopened, may not be comfortable with that option and might want to continue to have their students being taught with some online pieces. So we're trying to make sure that we're preparing for any one of the potential options for looking at the reopening of schools in the fall. But we're still waiting for definitive direction from the state and from the Michigan Department of Education. Again, we're going to host you and your kids in the fall before we start for what I call walkthrough days. And we'll be sending you out a schedule hard copy schedule of what rooms the students are in during those periods of the day that we just talked about, and what their locker assignment is. Speaking of that, I would really encourage you to pick up a lock this summer for the kids to use to put on their locker. I would say less than 30% of our students in the middle school use a lock. It goes to talk about the trusting atmosphere that we have. But again, if your child has valuables in their locker, it's better safe than sorry, and not tempt anybody that might know that they've kept their phone or some money or whatever might be in there. Let's just be on the safe side. Again, I mentioned we'll mail the schedule to you in August. Your child will be able to get here, set up their locker, put in those magnetic mirrors and pencil cases and that kind of thing. So, and I already talked about buying that lock and making sure they use it. So, and then I'm recording this for you to watch so that you know exactly what your child heard last week, and we just want to make sure that we're giving a positive anticipation for what is going to happen come next fall. That first slide, we talked about your child loving it here. I want you to know, Mom and Dad, we're going to love your child here. This separation that we're experiencing right now is really killing us. We got into education because we love people, we love children, and doing it virtually isn't the same. You know that well. And hey, congratulations for finishing your first stint as a homeschool online teacher. It's been quite a journey. I want you to know that even though I'm a principal and overseeing the online aspects of what we've been doing for the last 8 weeks, I have a 5th and 6th grade stepdaughter at home, and so both of them have been doing the same thing your children have, and it is daunting trying to get all that done while still doing some of our own work from home. But please rest assured that we're going to have a great experience. You're sending your children to the #1 performing middle school in the greater Kalamazoo Valley region. And we're very proud of that. The kids and the staff have worked very hard to become a top 5% performing school in the state of Michigan. I'm extremely proud of them. And so there's a lot of fantastic things happening at Schoolcraft Middle School, and starting next fall, your child gets to be part of that. So this is it. That's all I'm going to share with you tonight. You'll hear more from me in August. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.